Hello, hello. Happy June 16th. It's a Tuesday. Happy to be here tonight. It's been a pretty good day for me, so I'm really excited to be here tonight on the habit training. We're going to implement positive success habits, day 12. Same you, new mood. And today we're talking about habits, of all things, right? I wonder why. So it should be a pretty good one. I'll wait one more minute here until we get started. I do want to thank everybody who's been showing up and joining me for this. It's been exciting for me. We're over halfway through it now, and I hope you've learned a lot of tools and techniques and some tips and tricks to implement into your own life and really take your habits that you're currently doing and implementing them in a way where you can change them little by little and implement positive success habits into your life, because if you change your story, you can change your life, right? And I'm so excited to dig deeper in this. So it looks like we'll wait about 30 more seconds and then we'll get going on our habits training. And I apologize again for last night's audio mishap, but I'm super happy. I think this one's working now. So give everybody a big shout out. Thanks for being here tonight. And I'm excited to dive in. So we've got kind of like I said earlier, but I'll restate it since it's 6:30 now. It's day 12. We're talking about habits. We're in the positive success habits training. Same you, new mood. So let's dive right in. And I realized that after we did our recap yesterday, I haven't really discussed what a habit was, right? I dove in so deep and excited to discuss how to implement positive success habits. But foundationally, we should talk about what habits are. And there are a ton of resources. People have been writing about habits for years and years and years. There's YouTube videos you can look up, there's books you can read, there's trainings you can go to, anything you want. I'm sure it's out there. So habits are not new. We all have habits, and habits can come down from tying our shoes in the morning to brushing our teeth in the morning or brushing our teeth at night, or hopefully both. I do both. um, Habits are often things that you don't even realize you're doing, right? So they don't necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good or bad. What we're trying to do is make positive habits so we can keep showing up as the best version of ourselves. So I thought I'd start tonight off with the definition of a habit from dictionary.com. And let me get my notes ready here. So from dictionary.com, this says an acquired behavior regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. So a good way of describing that is maybe when you're crossing the street, you always look left and right, right? And if you don't, you should probably start doing that. But it's so involuntary that it just kind of happens. We've also discussed goals. And according to dictionary.com, the goals or the definition of goal is the result or achievement toward which effort is directed, aimed, or the end goal. So, with that being said, there's not really a good way to achieve goals, right? So we've I feel like I hadn't done a very good job in defining how we get to our goals when we talked about goals in week 1. So that's why we're circling back to how to implement these habits. We can also think of habits and goals as something that maybe you think of it as a New Year's resolution. So I looked up the definition of resolution as well, and after this I'll stop giving definitions. But resolution is the act of resolving or determining upon an action, course of action, method, procedure, etc. So James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habits. And in that book, he discusses systems to achieve your goals. And a quote he says is, You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your systems. Because when we talk about goals, it's too widespread. It's the result toward which effort is directed. There's no way of actually guiding. You could be directing this direction, right? But it's too broad. When you're talking specifically about goals, you're not honing in small enough. So your goal might be, I want to mow the lawn. Okay. When? How? Where are you going to get the tools to do that? So instead of just saying, my goal is to mow the lawn, you need to create a habit and a system in your mind to track your goal better, right? So you need to say, I need to mow the lawn by 5 p.m. today. Now you're very actionable and you're taking those steps to get there. And if you start speaking to yourself that way and you put in the effort to change your habits, you'll improve other aspects too, right? So like I said, I think I started a little too broadly and we need to really hone into habits. So positive success habits is the title of this training. And to me, that means it's a method to help you make small actionable steps to achieve your goals and dreams. And again, goals are too broad, so we need to figure out how can we get there. Well, that's through positive success habits. And your dreams, if you're just not writing them down and you're not taking action on them, they will never come to fruition, right? We've talked about that, but I love the idea of not diminishing your dreams. You should always be going for more, right? With a goal, that's something that you want to achieve. You don't get your wants. You get your should, or you don't get your wants. You don't get your I should do this. You get your must, right? So we've talked a little bit about that, but we've also talked about the six-pack abs last night, which I think is still a prime example. And if your goal is to get six-pack abs, you have to take actionable steps to get there. You have to eat healthy. You have to work out. You have to want it more than the thought of it. So what if you put a system in place? What if you said, every day at the end of my work shift, I will do 15 sit-ups? Well, that might not seem like many. It's more than you're probably doing. So put in the effort to put 15 today. And once that becomes too easy, do 20 and then do 25. And don't be broad about it, be specific. So for me, it might say, when my workday is done and I close my computer, I will do 15 sit-ups. It's actionable, it's specific, it's timely, right? It's got all the applicable steps to start creating a habit. When we're creating habits, oftentimes they're involuntary, and you need to find out how you can show up and make them involuntary and make positive success habits happen for you, because little by little they become easier and easier. So I follow the author of Atomic Habits on social media, and I thought this was actually really relevant into our conversation today. And I saw this, I think it was yesterday, and he was talking about the four burner theory. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. I know I hadn't. So I want to draw this out for you. And here you have a stove top, and you've got burner number 1, burner number 2, burner number 3, and burner number 4. And in burner number 1, you've got your family. The concept of, let me backtrack, the concept of this theory, right? So the 4 burner theory. Okay, So the concept of this theory is that all of your burners can't be on at full blast all the time. And if they are, you're probably not coming to the level that you want to in each area. So it fits in again with our emotional bank account. If you're trying to give everybody flames all the time, how are you going to be the best in all of those areas? So when you go through these different seasons of life, you probably have to lower the flame on some of them, right? So number one is your family. And that's, how are you showing up for your family? How are you providing the best version of yourself to your family? Are you calling them every day? Are you having dinner with them weekly? Are you sending them thank you cards and love notes and different things like that? How are you showing up for your family? Number two talks about friends. Maybe when you're out with your friends, you turn your phone off and you say, I am here with you right now. I don't want any distractions. And you could also do that with your family, obviously. And you want to show up and give your friends your full attention. So you're putting your flame on. You're not blowing off those events that happen every Friday night. You're not saying no. You're showing up and you're filling the flame. Number three is your health. So if you are um, trying to lose weight, for example, you would eat less sugary foods. You would probably meal prep. You would probably exercise more, right? You would show up for yourself and your health more. And number four talks about your work. So when you have your work-life balance, how can you show up and work your 9 to 5? I know for me, I'm struggling in this one because I have so many things I want to get done, but I only have so many hours in a day. And if I put too much attention in number four, then I'm not giving enough attention to my family or to my friends, because I struggle to have my flame on in every circle. So I really liked this analogy. You guys can let me know what you think about it, but the four burner theory I thought was a pretty good one. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it fits well into our habits. Because if you're creating a routine and you're becoming more disciplined and you're trying to implement the positive success habits into each category, you'll see it start to grow that flame. Same with the wheel of life, right? If you're trying and you're focusing on different categories, you'll see improvements because what gets measured gets managed. So let me know your thoughts on this. And if you have any feedback, please feel free to let me know. But we're going to jump into something else right now. So like I said, James Clear talks a lot about putting in a system. And simply put, a system versus a goal is similar to a journey versus your destination. So when you have a system, think about it as a journey. You are going down the path and you're going to get there. You're going to do whatever it takes to get to your end goal, in this case system, right? But if you're focused solely on your goal, that's your destination. How do you achieve that destination if you don't know how to get there? For example, if you're in the States and you're trying to get to Europe, but you don't know how to get there because you don't know how to fly a plane, or you don't know how to drive a boat, or you're afraid to get there, you have to implement a system, i.e., getting on a plane or overcoming that fear of being on a boat and traveling through the ocean. Whatever that might be, you have to figure out how you're going to get there. And habits, something that you do every single day, something that you can tweak and change and alter, are how you can get to your destination, right? So habits are something that you can systematize. So simply put, having a good system is implementing positive success habits. Okay? If we talked about this before, but I think it's relevant is if you change your habits, you will succeed by doing that through changing your environment, changing your behavior, changing what you're currently doing in your habits that maybe you don't even recognize you're doing. But you have to figure out what your habits are. And the best way to do that is to write it down. And I know that I put in the group the success habit tracker. However, I think I maybe should have prefaced it a little bit more. So I apologize about that because maybe you don't know what you want to build as a habit. But by implementing small habits, you can change your behavior through recognizing what you're already doing. So, for example, when you wake up in the morning, you get out of bed and maybe you brush your teeth, eat breakfast, make your bed. Those are all habits. Whether you want to recognize it like a habit or not, it is a habit. It's been proven that if you make your bed every day, you're already signaling to your brain that you've achieved a goal. You've accomplished something. Because if you get into a messy bed and you look at a messy bed all day, you're kind of letting yourself down in a way, right? But if you can implement making your bed every single day when you get out of it, you'll tell your brain that you've accomplished the first task of the day. Because much like starting to brush your teeth first thing in the morning, that's kind of just hygiene, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to make your bed. You don't have to do these things. But if you do, they will make you better. So let's talk about this idea of gap analysis. And gap analysis, I'll try to make sure I can get it on the board okay for you, is, and I'm going to use my notes here. This is where you currently are. And maybe you're feeling a little meh, right? And this is where you want to be. And if you have a piece of paper, I might recommend writing this down, because this is how you can get to this state and you can be happy in this state. So this is current. Let me make sure I make this correct for you guys. Current, and this is desired. And when you want to go from here to here, this is the gap that I'm trying to fill for you tonight, because I don't think that I did a good job implementing these ideas from the get-go. However, we have built a solid foundation for this to apply to everything that we have talked about, okay? So you have to determine your why. Why do you want to go from here to here? Maybe, and an easy example is if you want to lose weight, right? Why do you want to lose weight and go from here to here? Because it'll make you happier. You'll be more confident. You won't feel as much anxiety. You will feel healthier. Maybe your body won't hurt as much. There's so many reasons why. Okay? Well, this is step one. Well, how do you make this why happen? That's your how. So in the how, that's the path, that's the journey. This is the system that you want to create to get to this state. You want to be happier, right? You can get there through actionable steps. So number 3 is the what, or the action items. And with the action items, this is something that we've been talking about every night in the homework. So if you've been doing the positive success habit tracker, That's going to help you implement the how, right? Because you're tracking it every day. What gets measured gets managed. You'll go from this state to this state by implementing these action items to get you to here. And then number 4, what's comes here? I think it's dying. Hopefully you guys can still see this. Number 4 is to refine. Because as you learn, as you go down your journey, as you're growing, you always have to be making adjustments. The first time you do something isn't always going to be the best way. It's not always going to be the right answer. But as you grow in that path and in that journey, as you're making these things more habitual and more systematic, you'll get here. And then you can do this again for another habit that you want to implement. So you start with 1, then you go to number 2, you go to number 3. Because once you can move past it, it'll be like second nature. It'll just happen, and you'll be blown away at yourself at some point. So when you're looking at this is your goal, right? This is your end goal. This is your destination, and this is your journey. And you get there through actionable steps. I hope that you guys liked this analogy of how to get from here to here. And if anybody has questions, as always, please, please, please just let me know. I encourage you tonight, excuse me, hold on. I encourage you guys tonight to figure out what you can do on the gap analysis and how you can go from here, your current state, to your desired state, because you're in control of your life. Any action you take is a decision, because even inaction is a decision. So let's talk a little bit more about mindset, which is where we were from last night, right? When we're talking about mindset, you have to have a positive state, a growth mindset, learning mindset, different things like that. Have you ever thought about this concept of critical mass? Now, when we're relating this into habits, it might be a little far-fetched at first, so just bear with me. But think about water. Water can actually be 3 different states, right? Water shows up as, so if we're looking at water, H2O, you've got a solid, a liquid, and a gas. As a person, you have so many different states, which is what we talked about last night with your mindset. You have so many different areas of your life that you can be happy, you can be mad, you can be angry, you can be sad, you can be grateful, you can be goal-oriented, you can be all these different things. So this is a good example in the sense that there's 3 of them. And when you're a solid, you're at freezing, right? And you change your state. I don't know, I'm doing a great job explaining this. So when you're a solid, it's frozen. It's a block of ice, okay? That's how water shows up as a solid. It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a solid state. If it wants to change its state, it has to get to anywhere above 0 degrees. It's no longer freezing. So between 0 degrees and 211 degrees, it's a liquid. But when it hits 212 degrees, the boiling point, it turns into a gas. So it can change its state by changing its degrees. It can change its state by changing its temperature, right? If you're trying to change your state, there are several different ways you can do that. And I think number 1 is changing your habits. Be more grateful. Write down in your journal what you're grateful for and watch how that will transform how you perceive different things. Convince your mind that you are happy, because we thrive on happiness. We used to have to survive, right? Like when we were first born, or our ancestors, like cavemen, they had to survive. That is what our brain is known for. So we want all these different endorphin rushes from eating unhealthy foods. We want to sit on the couch and get the pings and the endorphin high from getting more likes on social media. That's how we're wired. But if you change your state, if you convince yourself that you don't need to eat the food to feel satisfied and grateful, you don't need the likes on social media, and therefore you're no longer creating this anxiety or FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Because you're providing this happiness to yourself, then you can succeed and be more successful and bypass other people in your industry and in your realm and in your social network, because your habits are creating the best version of yourself. You're showing up and you're trying to succeed day to day to day because you want to, because you're implementing positive success habits. Let me erase this. So I was going to write this down. I'm not sure I have enough time, but we'll just talk about it really quickly. So there's a few different ways you can follow in the footsteps of people who have been successful and clearly have good habits or success habits, because they implement these routines in their life. Okay, because without routine, you're going to live a little bit of a confused life. So having habits is very impactful. So number one is make a to-do list. It's actionable, and you need to show up and have a to-do list every day. And sometimes I make mine in the morning, sometimes I make mine in the evening, but I always know what I need to get done that day. That I always schedule out my day, and I always have a to-do list. Number two is energize yourself. Whether that's you telling yourself positive things, or that's you taking a cold shower, or going for a run, or drinking a cup of coffee. I know for me, I like a can of soda. It gives me that caffeine. It gives me energy. It makes me excited, and it's an endorphin rush, right? Kind of what we were talking about. It gives me happiness. Number three is to create a schedule. So I did kind of intertwine those, but a to-do list and a schedule are very different. A to-do list is your actionable items that you want to get done throughout the day and or throughout the week. So I also have this little thing right here that says things I want to get done this week. I jot it down, and then I'll add that to my schedule when time permits, because our minds are thinking so many different things, right? So I have to figure out how I can compartmentalize different areas. And when I'm trying to do that, I can do that through creating a schedule. Number four of the implementing success into your life and creating strong habits is wake up early. If you say, oh, I can't get out of bed before 8 a.m., then you're missing out on hours of the day that you will never get back. I've been trying to wake up around 5 a.m. every day. This morning it was about 5:15, but when I wake up that early, I have the time to create my to-do list, my schedule. I have the time to journal and have gratitude and have that time for myself, because nobody else is even up yet. Number five is to visualize, which we talked about on night one. Visualize what you want. But be careful, because you can say, I don't want to smoke cigarettes. I don't want to gain weight. But once you start focusing on that, you might start doing it, right? So you have to be positive, but you also have to be realistic. It's kind of that analogy of if you're riding your bike and you're really afraid you're going to run into a tree because it's coming up and you can see it up on the sidewalk and you're going to have to swerve from it, you're probably going to hit the tree because what you're telling yourself is the tree, the tree, the tree. It doesn't hear you say, don't hit the tree. It just says the tree. So be careful with visualization. Number 6, have gratitude. I've talked about it several times, but what you feed your mind is what you're going to consume. And having gratitude can take you to the next level. Be grateful for the people in your life. Be grateful for who you are at your core. Understand who you are at your core and show up to be passionately grateful. And number 7, enjoy a moment of silence. Step outside, hear the birds chirp, feel the wind in your face, lay on the ground and take deep breaths, whatever you need to do to just take a moment. And if you don't want to spend too much time on that, set an alarm and try to clear your mind for 1 minute a day and just see what that can do for you. So with that being said, it's 7 o'clock and I don't get to review the homework, but it will be posted in the group. It's not hard, but it is actionable. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's conversation about habits during our Positive Success Habits training, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.